Hi folks, welcome to week 4's overview. Now last week I said I would comment on your dialogue post, your single dialogue post, which was the only thing that was required. I would respond to everybody on the discussion boards in a single thread response. So what I've done instead, I'm going to respond generally here, and I tried in my comment back to you, I tried to give you a brief comment back to each one of you in the score. So you got full credit for doing the work, of course, at this early stage. And then I tried to, if I thought you maybe needed to steer in a certain direction, I tried to make that clear. If I thought you were on the right track, I tried to make that clear also very briefly. So what I'd like to point out is for the research project, the final project you turn in at the end of the semester, you can include a variety of sources. For the annotated bibliography, which is due next week, however, the only sources that I want you to include there are peer-reviewed academic sources. Now, when you go to the library's database, there should be a box that you can tick, or there's like a little selector up in the menu where you can select peer-reviewed scholarship or peer-reviewed journals, and that will filter out all non-peer-reviewed stuff. Now that is only for the annotated bibliography. So for our class, the annotated bibliography is to demonstrate your ability to acquire peer-reviewed sources by experts in the field. Not experts in the field who have some thoughts that nobody has vetted. You can use those in the paper though, that's fine, that is okay. But for the annotated bibliography, it's got to be strict scholarship. Now, for this week, there's a regular dialogue initial response and then replying to 2 other threads that don't already have 2 respondents on them. And I will respond to those as I did in week 1. Now I want you to anticipate next week also. So next week the annotated bibliography is due. Now the way the kind of like the generic English 102 annotated bibliography assignment works is I think it's like 10 or 14 sources, something like that, in the annotated bibliography. For me, when I'm teaching this class, I only want 5. I just want 5 peer-reviewed scholarly sources. Also, for me, for this class, I am not interested in your assessment of those sources. So I don't care what you think about them. I don't care how you, well, I mean, I don't mean to sound dismissive, but I don't want to hear, how you think this is going to help you. That will emerge in the project itself. So I'll see that in the actual paper. But for the annotated bibliography, think of it in, kind of like the old detective terms, just the facts. Just give me the facts. I give summarize the most relevant points in the article in addition to generally what the article is about. Now, in a general overview, remember still to be precise, right? You can still be precise and specific and concise all at once. And I know this is supposed to be the week 4 overview, but I just want to get you all ready for week 5's annotated bibliography. I will also want to encourage you to move beyond mere encyclopedic sources. Encyclopedic sources are good, and there is a level of peer review that goes into encyclopedic sources. They're not necessarily scholarly investigations, but they do present, good information. Now, for the annotated bibliography, I don't want encyclopedic sources, right? Descriptions of your topic. I don't want that. You can include it in the project, that's fine. And if you included an encyclopedic source in your assignments, that is okay. I've tried to comment back to you, what I would prefer instead. But I want to encourage you to move beyond the encyclopedic sources. Still keep them for your paper, but build on them. So it's not enough to know that, I'll give an example from my own discipline. It's not enough to know that the Pearl manuscript was written in the late 14th century and that it has 4 poems in them and that they are addressing a general Christian view about what it's like to be mistaken concerning God's nature, right? So that's just a description. For scholarship, what would be better is so-and-so's analysis of Sir Gawain ranting about the the wiles of terrible women. What some scholar has said about, is his rant an anti-feminist rant? Is his rant is it actually in defense of the woman who seems to have tricked him? That's scholarship, right? That goes beyond merely describing what happened and starting to think about, right, to process what has happened. Now, you all are not doing that level of scholarship yet, which is why you're going to go out and find it. But the project at the end of the semester will be your steps getting closer and closer to that kind of scholarship. Some of you may even achieve that kind of scholarship, which is fine. All right. Also, I want to let you know, I want to help you to anticipate next week. There will be a reading in the dialogue assignment, but there will actually be no dialogue assignment in week 5 because I want you to have that time to concentrate on putting your annotated bibliography together. If you have questions in the meantime about what counts as scholarship and what doesn't count as scholarship, definitely send me an email. As I've said to many students in the past, just because something doesn't count for the annotated bibliography doesn't mean you can't include it in the project. You can probably include it in the project. Just make sure the annotated bibliography is strictly scholarly material. All right. Let me just check. I'm switching over my screen, so if I look like my gaze is off in the distance, forgive me. I just want to double check the week's assignments here. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so let me touch on the dialogue assignment for this week, right? So the prompt says this: in Harper Lee's great novel To Kill a Mockingbird, Atticus Finch, or Fitch rather, says this: they're certainly entitled to think that, and they're entitled to full respect for their opinions. But before I can live with other folks, I've got to live with myself. The one thing that doesn't abide by majority rule is a person's conscience. And then the question is, what part does personal integrity and a Christian conscience play in the way we should conduct research and compose our own academic essays? Does the Bible speak to the subject, where and how? Okay, so it may look like that quotation says, no matter what the facts are, I'm just going to, as long as I believe strongly in what I think is right, then everything will be okay. That's not where that is going. What that is saying is, no matter what people may think, no matter what kind of values they may present, what matters is the truth. The truth matters. And if you have the truth, then you can have a clear conscience. So think of it in those terms. Solomon says in Proverbs, it is the glory of God to hide a matter. It's the glory of the king to seek out a matter, which means that the king just doesn't have simple belief, but that the king looks into things. The king investigates things. Now, I know that in our era we understand that extends beyond the king. It extends to us who are in an academic setting. But the point is, it's not just a strongly held conviction that Solomon is saying matters. Solomon is saying what really matters is to seek out the truth. And that's where the glory, such as it is glory, lies. So it is to your credit to seek out the truth. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's good to see you all. I will, even though we don't have an dialogue assignment next week, and I've kind of previewed next week for you, I'll still post again next week. As always, if you have questions for me, send me an email, and I will talk to you later. Take care. Bye-bye.